Hi everybody, I'm Meredith Rose. Welcome to Muse with Mary. I'm not a healer, I'm not a master. I study different modalities and I share what I've learned. I'm someone that has to do what's called body work in order to maintain my emotional and mental and spiritual connections. I believe that most people need body work, not everybody, but most people can use the releasing of blockages in the body, opening up pathways, because it's also a way to connect with the sacred and the divine when we get past certain programming or walls that we can hit within ourselves. So today, looking at the immune system, it looks to me, when I look into the immune system, more that I'm looking at the complexity of a garden or of a cosmos. It seems to be a constellation of thoughts and perceptions and emotions, and also pathways, meridians, flows in the body, acupressure points. The physical attributes of the immune system are the spleen, the thymus, the lymphatics, and the bone marrow. So to begin with, the thymus is an endocrine gland, and it's also a lymphatic gland. Doesn't make too much sense to us, but anyway, the thymus is located right behind your sternum and in between your lungs. It looks a little bit like the leaf of a thyme leaf, which is why it was named thymus. If we believed conventional Western medicine, we would believe that the thymus is very large and active in infancy and childhood, and that it literally atrophies as we go on in years. So we don't believe that. So one thing to do for the thymus, and we've done this in another lesson, I think, is to take a soft fist, make a soft fist, and gently hit the area of the thymus. It's called the Thymus Thump in some schools of thought. So you just, with your soft fist, and I like to do it kind of rhythmically, you just kind of gently thump or tap this area. Your thymus is where the T cells go, which are produced in your bone marrow. But anyway, your thymus is where some of these blood cells are stored, and they train to fight infection. So we could think of the whole immune system as a sort of fight, flight, or freeze mechanism, but I don't think that even begins to describe what it really is, or how it is, or how we can maybe best utilize it by harmonizing it. So just thumping on the thymus here. We all know that the way that the immune system was sort of programmed over the evolution of humans is really not adequate for what the immune system finds today. So that's maybe a way to begin to describe what happens with autoimmune or immune deficiency. It's just simply ways that we cannot cope with our environment as we find it now, or we overreact, or we're unable to react to it. And that could be symbolized in fight, flight, or freeze. So one way that the Taoists see the immune system is they call this aspect, they actually think of it as a meridian, and they call it the triple warmer. So the way to harmonize your triple warmer is, if you imagine, say, that you were a 3-story building and you wanted to harmonize the temperatures in all of the areas of your building, each of your stories. You wouldn't want one area to be too hot to be in, one area to be too cold to be in. So to harmonize the triple warmer, just simply bring your hands together, and then when your hands are just about at jaw height, you move the palms forward and then upward and raise your arms upward. This is called holding heaven. So what it really looks like is that your arms are extended overhead like this. So your arms are extended overhead. And then you just simply turn to one direction and back again. You do this 3 times on each side. Breathing, letting the arms be high and the palms as though they are holding heaven in your palms. And then you do it to the other side. So move your whole spine from your tailbone up through your sacrum, up through the lower vertebrae, into the higher vertebrae, into the neck, into the bones of the head. If you want to do this sort of more energetically, or you feel like doing a little stretch, you can kind of bounce your way over to the side, or you could do it sometimes one way and sometimes another way. So maybe do it 3 times to each side if you have the time. Let your eyes also follow. Let all the parts of yourself follow. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel your internal space. See if you can capture as much of yourself as you can when you do this. And then when you're finished, bring the arms down. Collect sort of life force or sparkling new energy. And just allow yourself to bathe yourself in that energy. Okay, the next thing you can do for the immune system is to, with your middle fingers, you place your fingers on each side of your nose. And then you just simply go up and down along the outsides of your nose. This harmonizes your immune system. It can correct glandular imbalances. It can tame allergies and irritability and sinus issues. And it can also change a sense of depression and clarify if you're feeling confused. You can do this, say, 9, 18 times, or you can actually do it 32, 36 times. And let that go. Next thing is to cup your ears with your hands, with your palms. And then what you'll do is you will circle with your palms on the kind of the rims of your ears. Breathing as you do this, what you're doing is you are stimulating acupuncture points all over your body. So you're energizing and bringing vitality to all parts of yourself. You can do this maybe 18 times in one direction, and then 18 times in another. Let that go. Take a pause for a moment just to notice any shifts that you may feel in yourself. It's a way to kind of guide yourself in the future to go ahead and do processes like this over and over again, if you can notice kind of an increase in vitality. So the next thing is, we were talking about the bone marrow. In your bone marrow is where you produce your white blood cells, the T cells, the things that actually fight infection. You could see this as a sort of a warrior class within yourself that goes to fight and kill what is meaning to invade your well-being. Or you could see this as a sort of a beautiful, flowering, white, fragrant blossoms bursting forth within yourself. But the point is that these white blood cells are made in your bones. Aren't hollow. They're filled with bone marrow. It's kind of a yellow substance, especially up in where the bones are very large, in the hip joints, the lower thigh bones, and in this area of your pelvic bones. So often we try to be light on our feet, and we have a natural resistance to wanting to thud ourselves around. But if you actually allow yourself to thud through your bones, what I'm doing is I'm just bouncing on my heels, but just so that you get a very indelicate and non-protective idea of yourself, so that you can just thud around. And when you walk, instead of just always being light on your feet, actually let your heels thud into the ground. Actually, you know, when you're out walking, just let yourself make big thuds with your heels so that you remind your bones that they exist. I mean, here's this incredibly foundational aspect of yourself, your bones. So let yourself know that they exist and stimulate the bone marrow, because it's producing your immune system, your barrier against being infected. Even just let yourself go very crazy, like the Feldenkrais, you know, no, not Feldenkrais, but the Frankenstein's monster kind of thing. Just, or you're just lurching around, you can let yourself fall into something, come back up again. Children do this. So we were talking about the spleen. The spleen is a small organ, and it's located on this side of yourself. It's above your pancreas and your stomach, and it's very small, but your spleen is purifying your blood and moving the lymph around. So of course you can live without the spleen, but it's a purifier against toxins. So in a similar vein, if you ever find yourself very tired, you're fatigued, or you're just at odds with your situation, you can sometimes completely reverse that feeling by activating your spleen. So if you make your hands into sort of little soft claws, you just thump in the along the spleen meridian here. This is your ribs here, the sides of your ribs. There are also lymphatic points on the sides of your ribs. But if you just thump here, that's the thumb and the fingers, just thumping and breathing. You can do this sort of, 15, 30 times. Breathing in. You may find that you can change a feeling of fatigue and feel completely refreshed afterward, or at least mostly refreshed. Another point of the spleen would be to come over to the front, on the front of your ribs here, just sort of above the lowest ribs, and you can thump there as well. Just breathing. Last thing that I'd like to suggest as we're thinking about the immune system is the simple technique of, you can close your eyes, sit down if you like, and it's the inner smile where you look within, you acknowledge yourself, just bathe yourself in kind of a sense of love and compassion, and see down where your heart is, know where it is. Smile into the heart. Smile into the lungs. In the wisdom of the Tao, it's believed that the lungs hold grief, and probably each of us knows what it's like to have a lung illness, pneumonia, or respiratory issues. So just acknowledge the lungs and smile into the lungs. Smile down into your whole self. Smile into your kidneys. Know where your kidneys are on each side of your spine and back. Smile into the liver on your right side. Smile into the spleen. Smile into your stomach and pancreas. Smile into your whole self. And just give yourself a metaphoric or an actual hug. Just kind of opening up that area between your shoulder blades. Actually, let's do just one more for the immune system dealing with your spine. So what you're going to do is do a side bend to each side. And when you're over to the side, you're going to hold that position. So you need to find just the right place where you can still breathe normally. So you're not vibrating or jerking. So you're just going to breathe to one side and then come up and go over to the other side. So it'll be something like this if you feel like following along. Bring one hand up like that. Bring the other arm over and take a hold gently of the elbow. And then just simply come over to that side. Breathe. Feel your feet, feel your legs, stay connected. And then coming up. And then to the other side. And coming up. Just sense the openness in the spine. That's the area between your shoulder blades where you may tend, well, where most of us humans tend to get a little bit in a fixed position. That part of the spine is less mobile than others. Thank you for your presence. Until another time, with a loving heart, see you again.